Thank you all for being here, and good morning, and welcome to Asheville if you're not from here. How many of you are from out of town? Okay, almost everyone. Cool. So this is going to be mostly a demo more than, a lecture. And please, if you have questions, I'm going to turn off my phone so that it doesn't ring in the middle of this, because that would be silly. So yeah, if you have any questions or anything as I'm proceeding, just raise your hand or yell or something. How many of you are at least vaguely familiar with AbleOrganizer, if anyone? And just so I know who I'm kind of talking to here, how many of you are developers? Okay, about half. How many of you are completely non-technical? Okay, a few. So this is going to be, I hope that this will be kept at a level that the non-technical people can understand and not be completely useless to the developers in the room, but that's sometimes a tough balance. So AbleOrganizer, let me talk just a little bit about what it is. It's a Drupal distribution, and does everyone know what a Drupal distribution is? Does anyone not know what a Drupal distribution is? Okay, then I don't have to explain it. So it's a Drupal distribution that is really geared towards nonprofits and community engagement, and what it does is it showcases, as an example, some great use cases for CRM functionality within Drupal. And it does this using a suite of modules that we developed at Trellon that's called CRM Core, and that provides some basic but really flexible CRM functionality within Drupal itself. So I'm going to start off just really quickly going through how some basics about installing it. It's a project on Drupal.org, so you can install it from, you just download it from Drupal.org/project/AbleOrganizer. During the installation profile, you're going to get asked a few questions. Depending on what your use case is, there are a few different features that come bundled with AbleOrganizer. And this is just a screenshot of one of the install screens. You just check the boxes of what you're interested in: donation, events, petitions, and volunteer. They're features, so if you're not sure if you're going to use something, feel free to, install it and then disable it later. Go ahead, yeah?
Does this pull additional code if checked, or does it simply enable existing code?
Just enables. I think it just enables it.
So that means there might be redundancy?
Hmm?
So that means there might be redundancy in configuration, or what does that mean, Doug?
Like it's in an app model, meaning it'll go pull those apps from somewhere repository and bring it in.
No, they're features, so.
Features, okay.
Yeah. And the other thing you're going to be asked is whether you want to install sample content and data. And if you're just figuring out the system, I would suggest doing that. Obviously, you don't want the sample content on a site that is the basis of something that you're really going to build. But if you're evaluating it, learning how to use it, it's very useful to have contacts and activities and things like events and such pre-populated, so you can see how they work. And I'm going to go through a little bit of that here. So I don't have a whole lot of slides. Mostly I want to just kind of do a live demo. I downloaded this morning and set it up. So this is what it looks like when you set it up. Hold on. Yeah, it's a little square right now. For some reason, it's cutting off the edges a little bit. But so this is also exactly what AbleOrganizer.org looks like, which is just pretty much a version of AbleOrganizer that's been staged that people can kind of look at and play with. So when you install AbleOrganizer, what do you get? So one of the most obvious things that you're going to get is, in a normal Drupal website, you have your front end and your back end, your front end and your admin section, right? In a AbleOrganizer site, you also have a CRM section. So I'm going to just open that up a little bit, and it has its own theme. You can use an admin theme if you want, but we generally advise using a separate theme for it, because the people that might be administering your contact database are probably not necessarily the same people that are administering your website. And this is the dashboard here is configurable. I'm just going to peek at a couple of things really quickly. So you can take a look at a contact record. Before I dig in, just to give you an idea of what we're working with, although my computer is being really slow.
It's the net connection. I think it just dropped.
No, this is on local.
Oh, okay.
I don't know why it's being slow. But I've been having some computer issues lately. I blame Windows. So you can see this is a contact record. If there was a real address, there would be a map there, but the address was made up. And we have a record of recent activities. If we want a full list of activities for that contact, we can go to the Activities tab. And these activity types, there are a couple of activities that come pre-bundled with the core system, but the donation, event registration, volunteer and petition signing, those all are part of those features. All right, so I'm going to show you really what this does. Let's take a look at events. These are 4 different features. They all function pretty similarly. If you pre-populate this with content, you get sample events, sample donation forms, things like that. We can go into any of these events. These are just nodes in Drupal. And you can configure them however you'd like. And you can put images, whatever. The interesting thing about them is that you'll see this form here. So I'm going to register for this fundraising dinner. And I'll register as a donor. And this has some you know, has some payment form stuff going on. Zip code field is required, okay. All the payment forms use Drupal Commerce, so you can use it with any sort of payment processor that, you know, Commerce works with. Is this working? It is waiting because my computer is slow again, and I'm sorry about that. Thank you for your registration. So we can go back to the dashboard, and we can see that there's this nice little message saying that I registered for this event, and this will also have created a contact record for me. And you know, it'll record the information that I entered into the system. Now, let's say I then, you know, want to sign a petition. So I'm going to sign this petition for something that I have no idea what it is, because I'm not really very particular about my causes, apparently. And we can put that in there. And I can go back to my record. And this should get updated with the petition information. So one of the really nice things about having an integrated CRM system in Drupal is there are features or contributed modules, solutions for things like event registration in Drupal, right? There's node registration, there's a bunch of different options. There are solutions for accepting donations. You could use Drupal Commerce, you can, I think there's a donation module. There's, you know, solutions for doing all of these different things, but they're all, you know, really standalone solutions. They don't let you get this full view of what sort of activities a person engages in on your site, what, you know, what a person stands for, what a person does. And the really nice thing about this is if you have, you know, if you're accepting donations, if you're doing event registration, if you just have contact forms set up, you can see everything that a person engages with, you know, every way that a person engages with your site. And the system is flexible enough that you can very easily create your own activities and trigger them with rules or whatever you need, so that if you have, you know, your own custom, you know, sorts of activities on your site, your own ways that you want to see how a person is engaging with your site, you can track that as well. And not just track it in like the, you know, Google Analytics sense where you know someone did something, but you can track information about it. You know, if I go into this fundraiser dinner activity, I'm sorry, I went to the wrong place, but if I go into the fundraiser activity activity, I can see like how much I paid for that, right? If I go into the petition activity, I can see the message that I left. If I go into a donation activity, I can see, what the value of that is, whether it was donated in honor of someone. I can see, potentially, what page of the website, it was entered on if I have multiple donation forms. And that can be extremely powerful. So let's take a quick look at what this looks like under the hood. And if you've done any site building with Drupal at all, this should look very familiar. Both contact types and activity types are just Drupal entities. So if we go into a contact type, we have out of the box, we have household, individual, and organization. And we can just take a look at, an individual contact type, the fields that are on it. We can add additional fields, just like we can with a node, And the same with activity types. This should all look pretty familiar. Any questions so far? Okay, so the other cool thing you get out of the box with these features is reporting. And the reports, we have reports for donations, petitions, volunteers, and events. And let's just go into the donation reports for now. We go pretty in depth there. This is all done with panels. So we can move things around, these little widgets, and there are something like, 160 or so different widgets that, come with AbleOrganizer. So if we can move stuff around, update. Well, it would help if I updated and saved it, but I think you get the idea. So there, I just switched the location of those two widgets. Very easy to do if you're not incompetent like I am. So, one thing that we do is source tracking for donations and other things. That's just a source field on the activity, and that can track whether the donation was made online or if it's something that was manually entered in various ways. And we have a top source report here. So you can see with this, most things are done via the fundraiser, and then online donations come in second. And if we want to go into more depth on sources, we can take a look at this, and let's say we want a detailed report on our own online donations. This will list out every online donation with the amount, and we can actually just go into those donations individually if we want and look at them. Everything here is filterable, exportable, and for those of you who know Drupal decently, it's all built with views. all of the reporting. So you can tweak them to your heart's content. And there's also a lot of the reports have views bulk operations for updating things. I think the most obvious thing here would be the contact list. So we can select a couple of contacts and merge those contacts, edit them, send an email message to them. And that's all done with views bulk operations. This is also a view, obviously. All right. So one of the really, I think, cool things that we have in CRM Core is the way we build those forms. And just to give you an idea about these forms, I'm just going to go back to the home page, and let's take a look at a few different donation forms. So here's one with just kind of a blank, give whatever you want. We can see here's an annual appeal, which has a set amount. You can see the fundraiser, which has the choice of a few different levels. And those are, themed as buttons. And we can collect different information about our donor on any of these forms. So the way that these forms are put together is through a module that is called CRM Core Profile. And we can just take a look at one of them. Here's a donation form. I'm just going to go in and take a look at. And the way these forms work is they pre-populate or populate contact information and activity information, right? And in the case of things that have payments, they also populate like a commerce order. So what you do is you go into this and you can select a type of contact and the fields from the contact that you're interested in, a type of activity and the fields from the activity that you're interested in, and if you want a commerce profile and the fields from that you're interested in. Then you get a list of all of the parts of those fields. So if you're looking at the name field, that has first name, middle name, last name, suffix, prefix, I don't know, everything. And you just want first name and last name, you just check first name and last name. With address, you might just be interested in country or state, or you might need everything. So you just select the parts of it that you want. You have the option of making these fields hidden and adding default values, and those default values can have tokens. So that allows you to do things like collect the page that someone filled out this form on, which is really nice when you have a donation form that is used on multiple pages. You know where the person donated. You can also do things like collect the date without the person filling in the date, and all kinds of things like that. If the user is logged in and has a contact record that's synchronized with their user account already, there is synchronization between user accounts and contact records. It's optional. Then you can choose to pre-populate. You may not want to do that if you're using this as a data entry form internally. Obviously, if you're filling, if you have like a sheet of volunteers that you're just kind of manually entering records for, you don't want your contact information in there every time. So it's really flexible. And when you go to, let's just take a look at one of these nodes. We can just edit the node. And down at the bottom, you'll see there's a, well, in this case, it's a, we actually call it a petition form, but there is a vertical tab that will be used, that will be for CRM core profiles, and you say whether or not you're going to use a CRM core profile, one of these forms for the node, and then you select which one you want from this drop-down list. So it's pretty easy. You can display it inline, or you can display it as a block, either way. If you display it inline, it just shows up at the bottom of the page by default. Let's see. I think that's all pretty clear, I hope. Okay. Any questions so far? One of the real strengths of this is that everything is very native Drupal. I think we kind of took the same approach as Drupal Commerce in a lot of ways, where everything's built with views, everything integrates with rules. We don't have, if you want to build your own, you have like some special donation thing that you need to do, you can start with what's there and just, change the donation content type, change the donation activity, and still benefit from all of those reports that we built. And if you need to add some fields to some of the reports, go ahead. They're just views. There are thank you emails that go out, and that's all handled via rules. Those are, you can turn those on and off if you want. Let's see. So it's really, I like to think of it as a toolkit for building a CRM system that meets your particular needs, which is, at Trellon, something that we've done a lot of in the past. And really, one of the reasons that we built this is we did a lot of work over the years with Civi CRM. How many of you are familiar with Civi CRM? A few of you. And Civi CRM is great if it does what you need it to do. And it does a lot. But customizing Civi CRM, how many of you who know what Civi CRM is have tried to customize Civi CRM? And okay, one. Would you like to never do that again?
Yes.
Okay.
I stopped doing it, basically. It's quite futile.
Yeah. And as we were building out these custom sites with Civi CRM, where they wanted to do really deep integration with Drupal and pull things into views that Civi doesn't expose to views, and we were just thinking, why can't we just build a CRM system in Drupal? And this became like this mantra. And then Drupal 7 came out, and we said, hey, there's this entity system. Because the real reason we never did it before was because we didn't want contacts and activities to be nodes, because there are all different kinds of permission concerns with contacts and activities. They should be significantly more back-end. They're not content in the same way that nodes are content. It's more data. And so when Drupal 7 came out, we really kind of zoomed in on this, and we said, look, we're going to do this. And CRM Core, which is what AbleOrganizer is based on, which is also available on Drupal.org, is really the result of that. One thing a lot of people ask is, hey, this looks great. but it's a, it's a distribution. I already have a Drupal website, and can I still use this? And the answer is mostly, because really this is 99% of what is in AbleOrganizer is CRM core and a few features which are also on Drupal.org on the CRM core page. They're available, which is just Drupal.org/project/CRM core, and as well as a theme and front end theme and the CRM theme, which you could just kind of pull out of the distro if you wanted. It's all open source. Do whatever you want with it. All right. So, yes.
Getting into the geeky stuff, are contacts node types or custom entities?
They are custom entities.
Where else are you using custom entities?
Activities?
Entities.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Activities.
Okay, I got you.
Yes, I heard you. Contacts are custom entities like individual organization householder bundles. Each activity type is a bundle of the activity entity. We do support relations between contacts, but that's using an existing entity, not something we built. And I think that's just relation. Let's see. Other.
Are they programmatically instantiated or are you using ECK?
I'm sorry?
Are they programmatically instantiated or are you using ECK?
I think the former. I am not a developer myself, so I'm not entirely sure, but I'm not sure. Let's see. Any other geeky questions that I may or may not be able to answer?
Is it more for non-for-profits, or could you use this to run clients for a small Drupal shop?
Well, I mean, AbleOrganizer is specifically geared towards non-for-profits in the sense that the features that we built out are community engagement type features, right? A Drupal shop is probably not going to use a volunteer feature or a petition feature, but the underlying system, you can use it for whatever you want. I know people have used it for tracking sales leads and things like that. And it's real easy to just create a new activity type. I use this all the time for contact forms. I create a new activity type that's like a contact activity type, create a CRM core profile that just exposes a contact, the text area from the contact activity type, and name and email or whatever, and you have a contact form that the results get put into your database, which is nice. So that takes 15 minutes, and it's kind of awesome that it takes 15 minutes to do that. So yeah, I mean, it's because it's Drupal, it's flexible, So I'd say, yes, AbleOrganizer is geared towards nonprofits, but that's why I said it's like an example of what you can do. Most of our clients are nonprofits. We do a lot of university work too, but these are 4 of the features that we've built over and over and over again. So we just decided we're going to build them in a way that we can reuse them and tweak them if we need to. And that's been really helpful. Yeah.
Do you have a real-world case study of a site that uses this, and if you know any way it directly benefited the organization as opposed to their site previously?
Yeah, I mean, well, this is still relatively new, so I don't have a lot of results. I could point at some early use cases. One of those is the San Francisco Gay, Lesbian, Transgender Community Center. And they're actually not on AbleOrganizer, but on an early version of CRM Core, and they've been using that to track, I think, donations and event registrations and volunteers, but also we integrated with like a facilities rental sort of system, and so we're tracking that as well. One of the recent sites that we built on AbleOrganizer, I could just pull it up, is the Jane Goodall Institute's Roots and Shoots site, which is a it's kind of their youth program. So they create projects, and the people can join these projects and they track participation in them, and it's all over the world, and it's let me just give you some examples of what projects look like. Well, take a look at one of these. So you can see, I guess they disabled sharing on this, but it tracks the number of participants and hours. Oh, no, it didn't. It's just the connection is slow. And we track who creates projects and what people join, and that's been really successful for them, but they've only been using it for a couple of months now. Some other things that we've been working on that are about to be released are some really cool things. We're doing a site that's for an organization called Leaping Bunny that certifies mostly cosmetics companies as cruelty-free to animals. And what they have is they have this application process that companies have to go through, and companies have to, kind of register their intent to apply, and then get approved to apply, and then they go through this application process where they list their manufacturers and suppliers, and those manufacturers and suppliers get reached out to and find out whether or not they're cruelty-free, and that, along with some statements by the company, determines whether or not their application is approved. And so you can see, like, between the company that's applying, companies like parent companies of that company, which get evaluated as well, and the manufacturers and suppliers, and then the individuals at these companies, because once the company's approved, they can put up like a little blurb about the various brands that they have, and they get some promotional opportunities as an incentive. So there are kind of some permissions around that. There's a lot of different organizations and individuals that are at play here that we need to keep track of information about. And that gets pretty complicated. But this really, makes it possible in a way that I wouldn't know how to approach that without a CRM system. Any other questions? Yep.
I have to say, it's a pretty beautiful looking distribution.
Thank you.
I typically don't get to compliment the design work of Drupal sites.
Yeah.
But some effort was put in there, and I'm glad you did.
Yeah, and it does come in terms of the front end theme. is a Zen-based, or it's a Zen-based theme, so you can, feel free to use that and tweak it. And it's all sassy and stuff, and sassy. You have to do the jazz hands when you say sassy. I think it's requirement. So, how much time do I have? Okay, I have a little bit of time. I guess I can go back to my little slideshow here, and within the next month, we should be coming out with our second beta. We're currently in beta. It's stable. We've been using it. I've been playing with it a lot myself, even on like some personal projects. It solves a lot of problems that I've been having. In the second beta, we're going to have some really cool data import tools, including ones that will pull data, in addition to pulling data directly out of CSVs and whatever, there's a system for importing directly from Civi. We're working on things for Salesforce and some other things as well, but if you can export to CSV, which pretty much everything can, it's not a problem. The theme improvements, which is really that sassy stuff, and that's in the dev branch right now. I think the beta 1 might be Omega based. We are going to have better mailing list integration. We're working with a module right now that we've built that creates lists of entities, in this case, lists of contact entities, but it's generalized, that we can then sync with like MailChimp or Constant Contact. And I think the next version will have a membership feature as well as the 4 existing features. Don't quote me on that. It's something that we've been working on in-house. I'm not sure if we're going to release it as part of the beta or just release it separately. And places that you can get more information. AbleOrganizer.org is that install on the web, and there's a lot of documentation on that site. If you just go to AbleOrganizer.org, down at the bottom, there's pages and pages and pages of it. There's obviously on Drupal.org. We have a channel on Freenode that I am always in. When I'm online, I'm always in. And a few other people at Trellon are always in, as well as some other people who've been contributing to the project. There's also, this is more for developers, but if you take a look at the documentation for CRM Core on Drupal.org, there's a ton of it. And it's a bit more technical than the stuff that's on AbleOrganizer.org, but I know for some of you that's going to be much more helpful.
What's the mobile experience like?
Let's take a look. This should be responsive. Not bad. So if we go to the reports, probably about as good as could be expected for an out-of-the-box distribution. So, the theme is responsive. Yeah. All right. Any other questions? If not, then thank you very much. And if you want, feel free to like corral me later today if you have additional questions or there's something you want to see in more detail. Happy to show you.